Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. I think Mobs are having a wonderful day. We clean shaving, baby. Feels good, it feels refreshing. We're gonna be doing a small video. This is a thank you to my parents. This is a thank you. This is almost a love letter to my parents. And I know it sounds weird, but it's not weird. Trust me. So let's get into it. Lately, it's kind of nuts because I never had a good relationship with my parents when I was growing up. My father was too strict. I always was afraid of him. I was like, this guy is fucking crazy. He's super strict. I didn't do shit. Why is he mad at me? Why am I always afraid of him? Which sucked, to be completely honest. It sucked, right? But that was life. My mom was an angel, but my mom, I didn't really see her enough, and I didn't really know who she was, which kind of suck when you're when you're when you're just the only son. And then in this relationship, I was like, okay, my parents are two completely different people. And I think growing up, I had a lot of pressure to be following one footstep. Like, oh, you're like your mom or like your dad, right? Not like in the fact of love, but like you're acting similar to. And I didn't want to choose. I didn't want to choose. I was sitting on the fence. I was a fence sitter because I did like them both. Then I grew up, and that turned to resentment. It turned like hey, let me be me. It was always a case, and again, I'm not blaming them, but it was always a case of I don't know who I am because my parents were so different. My blueprints were so different. It was always a case of who am I, right? And I think it happens to everybody. I think it happens to you. I think it happens to me. I think that's part of life, right? And then that feeling became to resentment. Like, yo, I'm already having problem facing or understanding who I am. Don't get involved, right? And that was not nice of me to do. Then this feeling turned into it turned into independence. It turned into independence because I learned really quickly, very young, to not rely on my parents. Not because they're not good parents, but because I was doing it on my own at a very young age. My father was like, "Yo, you're gonna be alone. We have to go there. Please stay home." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And I was just watch whatever fucking show I wanted to watch, just eat snacks. So it was really cool. My mom, I didn't like the boyfriend. Then again, the boyfriend didn't do shit to me. He didn't do shit to me. He was trying to get involved, which was a great thing. But I didn't respect that. I didn't expect that. I didn't accept it. I don't know why. I did a lot of bad things to people when I was younger. And then that's why we're trying to be so nice or so kind today, because we did so much wrong, right? And my mom, she was with him a lot, or she was smoking shisha. And I was like, no, not for me. I'm going to stay in my room. But at the same time, in my room, I get to play games, and that's all I cared about. So, yeah, when I went to the apartment, it turns to worse because the dependence was like, I don't really need you in my life. I stopped talking to my mom. I stopped talking to my dad. They didn't do anything wrong, but it was just like, I need space. I need space because I need to be my own person. And it's nice because they came back into my life, and it was a blessing. They never really were like, "Yo, you took us out, fuck you." They were just they were very understanding. And as I grew older, it's funny because it was my father. I got close to my father really fast, because when I was in an apartment, I lived a couple minutes away from him. So it was just like, hey, let's go have a coffee, and it was a conversation. And my mom, I love her, but she's a bit more reserved. She's a bit more like, what about you? What about you? What about you? But she doesn't talk about herself a lot, which is a cool quality. But it does really feel like there's a wall up. But then again, you understand that my mom, she's so generous, she's so kind, that she's always putting other people first. So it come naturally to her to put other people first, more than talking about herself, which is a beautiful quality. It's selflessness. And it's funny because in time of needs, like right now, I'm not needy, but they're there. It's really fun. I'm 32 years old, and although I have a lot of independence, I'm really seeing my parents being there. Like my mom saying, "Hey, there's a job fair tomorrow. Here's how to get there. Good luck." Or my father being like, "Hey, you've been okay. You lost some weight. Good for you." And they have really been there. And just I think my parents as a kid, they were a bit too involved into my life, which is their choice. I respect that, but I do think they were too involved. So it took me a step back, and then I think there was a problem with boundaries. I think there was a problem with boundaries from my part. I was pushing them away but I was so lonely that I was trawling back to them, and I was like, hey, let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. So when I wanted to talk, let's talk. But when I didn't want to talk, go away, which isn't fair. You shouldn't do that to people that you like, let alone your partner, let alone your parents, right? That's something that I did that was not okay. That was not cool to do. One of the things that I noticed the most, and is that lately we have such a good relationship. Like they were so different, and I think that's why it was so hard for me to get close to them. For example, with my father, he's a talker, just like me. So when it comes time to talk, we can both talk a fucking storm, right? And I do feel like the issue here was more so listening to each other, which was kind of like a, and it's funny because my father, I was more at my father's house, so it kind of raised me a bit more than my mom. But with my father, it was a case of, okay, well, you're talking, I'm talking, we're conversation. With my mom, it was more so a case of like, I'm talking, you're not talking, what's going on, right? So there's a feeling of, it was a different problem with both of them, but we fixed that. And I just want to say that I'm grateful for that, because now that my relationship with my father and my mom is perfect. My father, yes, we had a fight last month, it was bad, but he's truly sorry for that. Like, for example, we had a fight. We didn't have a fight, but I was like, that dude, my father was like, hey, let's go try this pizza place. And he was like, I can't, I'm going to see my mom. And then he got to see he got to buy the pizza, and he was like, okay, well, he got the pizza no matter what, even if I wasn't there. We were supposed to go together, and I was like, okay, well, what happened? And then he just told me, and I was stupid because the stepmom wasn't there, and she's dieting, so this was his only opportunity to sneak in some junk food. It was special that day. It was only that day. So I got mad before I understood the situation, which was my fault. And my mom was trying to give advice, and she's just trying, but and I sometimes I take that advice. I'm like, well, I tried that, it didn't work. Even if sometimes it's important to listen to. It's important to be like, yo, I understand that this advice, I don't really need it. It's not something that I need to do or I'm gonna do. But it's still nice of you to propose an idea, to propose the fact that you should do this. It's a good idea, and I think I have to be more. I have to accept that more. But honestly, my parents, the relationship is great. My father, we talk, we having fun. My mom, we never talk that much. So honestly, us communicating, and it's always like, and it's fun because I did feel bad because I gave my mom the YouTube because I needed followers, and yeah, that's a true story too. And she kind of needed to go through the video to see how I'm doing. That was a mentality for a long ass time. You want to know how I'm doing? Check the video. No, don't check the video. They ask you a question, you answer. That took me a while. That took me a long ass time to figure out. But my mom, she was involved. She was always involved with the videos and saying, "Hey, how it happened?" So yeah. So now that we were talking and we're communicating, it's like we had this question you wanted to ask, I'm gonna answer, or how you doing? And it's just a blessing being closer. I feel like it's weird because I feel like it's more so a feeling of being closer than in actuality. But in many ways, it's a freaking blessing. So I want to thank my parents. I want to make a small video to say thank you. Thank you for. I'm not easy to live with. I'm not an easy person to deal with. I'm not an easy friend to have, and I'm not an easy son to have. They're dealing with me, and I'm super grateful. And although sometimes we're fighting, I'm so grateful for the fact that I have amazing parents. And yes, I'm 22, and yes, I'm out of the nest, of course. But at the same time, it's nice to have them in your life and say, you know what? It doesn't really have to be a sense of provider versus providee, but more so a sense of we're family. Something that I missed and I should have done before. So yes, the relationship is a lot. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel like the relationship. It doesn't feel like the relationship changed a lot, but we're definitely closer. And that's what I didn't understand with people. It doesn't matter if the relationship is good as long as you're closer. Yes, you can fight with someone, but even if you fight with someone, if you feel close to them, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. For example, with my mom, if we're fighting, well, at least we got to talk about it. At least she told me how she felt. At least I told her how she felt. We might not agree, but at least we know how each other feels, and that's important too. And that's why we're feeling closer to each other, because it was this conversation. and that's a beautiful thing. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.